Welcome back, everybody, to the Pittsburgh Pirates franchise here on MLB The Show 20. Today we have part 3 here of the long-term simulation to finish out this franchise series. My original plan was to only have like 2 or 3 episodes of a long-term sim, but it seems like you guys are really enjoying these, and I'm having a blast making them. So what I'm thinking is I'm just going to keep doing every episode in increments of 3 seasons. So each episode in the long-term sim for the rest of the series will last 3 seasons until every relevant player from the series retires. So we're probably still going to have a few more episodes left of the series, so I hope you guys are ready and excited. Our Pirates are entering a new era, entering this offseason possibly with Jameson Taillon and Josh Bell potentially hanging up the cleats. Both of them just finished their age 37 seasons and are a shell of what they once were. Josh Bell is now a bench bat. He wasn't bad this year. He had an OPS of 882. Jameson Taillon's mainly been a long reliever, and he wasn't too bad this season either. He had an ERA in the 3s, but both of them are in the 60s. They're both getting old and regressing pretty rapidly, so I wouldn't be surprised if they retire fairly soon. For the most part, we have a lot of our key players locked up. They were recently signed to extensions, and we really don't have any huge free agency decisions to make until later in the video. We do have some key guys like Jose Alvarado and Benny Lena's free agents in the offseason, but we don't have any of our superstar, face-of-a-franchise type players entering free agency until a little bit later. So let's enter the offseason, and we do have a retirement. Jameson Taillon is going to be calling it a career. So Jameson Taillon, no longer a member of our team. Josh Bell, meanwhile, will be sticking around. Taillon's had an incredible career. What a ride it's been. I mean, he was once a very high draft pick, a top prospect, kind of a late bloomer. He didn't start off overly well in his Pirates career, had Tommy John in 2020. And entering the series, he's a guy who I thought I would look to trade fairly early on, but we were winning games in Season 2. He was pitching well, so I didn't think it made sense to trade him. And then we just kept staying as a good team, and Taillon remained our ace, so there was no reason to trade him. And, I mean, he was our ace for a very large core of the series. Unfortunately, Taillon is not a Hall of Famer, but Jose Altuve and Paul Goldschmidt will enter the Hall very well deserving. I mean, I guess, I don't know about Jose Altuve with the cheating. So first off, we're going to re-sign Josh Bell. Can't let him go. Francisco Mejia, we've been consistently signing him to 2-year contracts in the offseason that are backloaded with a team option for the second year. And he keeps wanting less money because he's getting older and he is starting to regress. Mejia is still a pretty solid starting caliber catcher. He's an 84 overall in true talent, 88 if you count in morale. But he keeps asking for less money, so we're going to keep doing that. He'll make around $8 million this season and around $9 million next season. Benny Lane is also a free agent. He's 28 years old. He's not the guy he once was. And, I mean, he peaked very early into his career. He always had potential at like 82, 83, so I knew he was never going to be a superstar. But I am disappointed he hasn't stayed consistent to what he was doing in the early part of the series. However, I do want to give Benny Lane another shot as our starting third baseman. Jose Alvarado's been an awesome reliever, an awesome closer for us the past 4 seasons, but he is 35 years old. Our bullpen is absolutely loaded, and I just don't think we're in a financial situation to retain Jose Alvarado because he's still going to get paid somewhere because he's still really good, and we have a lot of young guys who can take over as the closer. Very good free agency class. Obviously, we don't have a ton of money. We have $173 million currently tied up into our guys, and that doesn't even include the players who are in arbitration and the renewable contract stage. So we really don't have a ton of flexibility this offseason to do a whole lot. Looking at the rest of the league, Lou Blanco, a 97 overall third baseman, signs with the White Sox. Colorado Rockies staying cheap with their all-star level third baseman. Jesus Luzardo to the Tigers. He's had a very good late part of his career. Franmil Reyes traded from the Rays to the Blue Jays for Nick Senzel. Franmil Reyes is a glitch in this game, so the Rays are kind of dumb. Eloy Jimenez no longer in our division. He leaves St. Louis to sign with the Rangers. Jose Alvarado signs with the Houston Astros, so Alvarado will be continuing his career in H-Town. It looks like not a lot of our teams in the division are making big moves. I haven't really seen the Reds or the Brewers or the Cubs or the Cardinals here for the most part yet at all. So as long as those teams aren't getting any better, that's good news. And right as I say that, the Reds signed a really good outfielder in Alek Thomas to a pretty big contract. So Cincinnati's really improved these past few years. They were pretty irrelevant for most of the series, but I mean, they have a lot of good young players. One of your high draft picks from a few years ago, Luis Valdez, is like a 99 overall. So in the Rule 5 draft, we are actually going to pick someone. 65 overall shortstop Rodney Cleary. He is 27 years old, but he has 99 potential, so I think he could be a really good asset for us. Jalen Davis to the Cardinals. Davis has, like, turned into one of the best hitters in baseball ever since he was, like, 33 or 34. I mean, he's just had, like, a late career renaissance, so good for him. I mean, he's one of the best hitters in baseball at the age of 36 right now. The offseason is complete. We really didn't do a whole lot because we really did not have a whole lot to spend. We are in the negatives with the budget, but only negative $220K per week. That's not too bad, but I do think we might want to look at potentially clearing some budget. Felipe Benitez has been a solid fringe starter, fringe lawn reliever for us for a few years. He was one of our draft picks, but he is 31 years old, and we have a lot of good pitchers. So we'll be trading him and that Rodney Cleary guy to the Minnesota Twins for a few really good prospects, and then immediately the Twins put both of them on waivers. So if you're just going to let them go, I might as well bring him back and trade them again. I don't want to cheese too much, but like, I mean, if you're going to make it this easy for me, I might as well take them. Now we're going to send those two guys over to the Cubs for a potential second base prospect in Bernie Rayburn. So we got multiple potential prospects for these guys. I don't know how we did, but I guess the Twins are stupid. And then the Cubs would proceed to put both of them on waivers, but I'm not going to cheese anymore. We're not going to pick them back up. Although that would be funny if we just went in a consistent cycle of trading them and getting them on waivers. Here is the team entering season number 12, trying to get our first World Series title since season 9, which was the first year in last episode that we covered. The roster, for the most part, is pretty much the same. The bullpen's a little bit different with no more Jose Alvarado, but the bullpen is still loaded. The line-up is still really good, and the starting rotation hasn't really changed a whole lot. So for the most part, we do have a very similar roster entering the season. We were going to simulate up to draft day here. Hopefully, we can start the year off well, and we don't. We are 31-31, third in the division. We really struggled in the month of May and are just not doing that well. I mean, Osuna and Magana at the top of a rotation have been great, but not all the pitchers have been stepping up. Rob Hills has an ERA in the 6s, and remember last year he did not allow a single earned run. In the lineup, again, we have guys like O'Neal Cruz who are dominating. Cruz is hitting .341. He's a machine, but Pablo Cairo's only hitting .242. Cairo's never had a full season where he's hit under 300, so I'm not overly worried about him. The power has been solid. He does have 12 home runs, but an OPS below 800. Pretty low for his standards, considering his career OPS is at 952. I've been simulating the past few drafts, but now I kind of actually do want to draft for the team, and we did a pretty good job. I got a good 89 potential starting pitcher in Samuel Alazar. And then our last pick, Chad Klaboff. I just kind of took a shot on him, and he's actually pretty good. So here at the mid-season mark, or I guess at the draft, we will be making a trade with the Reds. And this is a trade more so focused on the future. We're going to be trading Quinn Priester, one of our starters, and Casey Andrade, one of our starting outfielders. Both of them are free agents in the near future, along with a solid starting pitching prospect in Mark Harding. So we're trading a lot here, but we're getting a really intriguing player. This is Alberto Estrada, the Francisco Mejia replacement. I know he's 26 years old. He's only a 74 overall, but he has 99 potential. So we're getting a guy who can be absolutely incredible for us for a few players who are going to be expiring contracts in the near future. Jonathan Ritchie, a really good prospect we traded for towards the end of last episode. We're going to move him up to the majors, and then we're also going to move up Jamal House to the majors as well. Obviously, with Quinn Priester gone, we need some new starting pitching. Kenny Waldron is currently hurt at the moment. So now we're going to simulate the All-Star break. And hopefully we can pick it up, and we sure did. 25-10 since we made that trade with the Reds, putting us now at 56-41. You want to know why we're doing so good? This man, O'Neal Cruz, has 34 home runs here at the All-Star break, hitting .329 and OPS over 1,100. He has just been an absolute machine. Looking at the All-Star rosters, Patrick Magana, the starting pitcher for the National League. Santiago Osuna also there. Leonard Iguchi makes it as a reliever. Iguchi's a really interesting player because he's 33 years old, but he's only getting better. Definition of a late bloomer. He made his debut at 31, and he's really developed nicely. O'Neal Cruz, the starting shortstop. Bo Bichette, the former Pirate, also there, but we don't have any other batters in the All-Star game. So now we are going to simulate up to the trade deadline, and we're still doing well. Now at 65-45, 10 games ahead of St. Louis in the division. The Reds have kind of fallen off a little bit too. So I did not go into this trade deadline with major plans, making a few small trades here just to try to clear up some money, make sure we stay in the positives with the budget, because otherwise I don't think we're going to be able to sign our draft picks, and that's a problem because we do have some pretty good draft picks coming in. We have $196 million currently tied up, but we are having a positive cash flow. We have $165 million tied up to next year, but we don't have anybody entering free agency except Josh Bell. And Josh Bell doesn't really count because he's probably going to retire after this year. So we end up going 98-64, good enough for the top seed in the National League. So a very successful season after starting off very poorly to begin. O'Neal Cruz was a machine. He's hit 99 home runs the past 2 seasons. Pablo Cairo rebounded. He finished with a batting average of .317. He also hit for 36 home runs. Benny Lane, another disappointing year for him, and he has regressed quickly. He is a 73 overall in true talent, 75 if you count morale, and we just signed him to an extension, to a pretty big contract in the offseason. So yeah, we're going to have to pay him $6 million next year, and then we'll definitely decline his team option, Josh Bell. Only had 10 at-bats. That's pretty depressing. He went 2 for 10, no home runs. The pitching was very good. Santiago Osuna has been incredible. Patrick Magana kind of slowed down, but he was still solid. And the bullpen, for the most part, was very solid. Rob Hills and Gaylord Dixie were both pretty disappointing, but other than that, not a whole lot to complain about. O'Neal Cruz won the MVP, his second MVP in this long-term sim. Pablo Cairo finished in third, and Santiago Osuna won the Cy Young. Patrick Magana finished in second, and Miguel Cueto won Offensive Rookie of the Year. He stepped in once we traded Casey Andrade. So in the first round, we're going to be facing off against the Colorado Rockies, and we sweep them. Now facing off against the Dodgers here in the NLCS. I think they still have Brian Reynolds on their team. We're currently up 2-1, make that 3-2, and we win Game 6. So we will be advancing to a World Series to take on the Texas Rangers. Obviously, in the actual series, we won a World Series, and in the long-term sim, we've also made a World Series and won it. So in this series all-time, we are 2-1 in World Series. The Rangers are a very interesting team. They have a really good late bloomer in Pavin Smith, who was a rookie at like 30 years old. Now he's one of the best hitters in baseball. This is a very deep roster. They have a former Pirate in Emmanuel Clase, who's still a pretty good player. Finished with an ERA of under 2 this year, albeit in only 9 innings. So here we are. Can we win a third World Series of the season? We don't win Game 1. We do win Game 2. Can we take some at home? We win Games 3 and 4, and we win Game 5. The Pittsburgh Pirates are World Series champions again. We were 500 entering the month of June, and now we are world champions. A third World Series ring in this series as we look at the postseason statistics. Pablo Cairo hit 164. Ouch. Doesn't really matter because we still won the World Series. Josh Bell only had 1 at-bat, and he got a hit. So Josh Bell finished with a postseason batting average at 1,000. That's pretty cool. That might be how he ends his career. I believe he is entering his age 39 season, so he's going to be retiring pretty much any day. O'Neal Cruz won postseason MVP. Wander Franco wins World Series MVP. So the Pirates are again champions. A good start to today's long-term sim. Entering the second offseason, no Josh Bell in retirement. So Josh Bell is going to keep playing at 39 years old. I know he's really bad, but I still want him on the team. I want him to retire as a Pirate, and I want him to retire on the Major League roster. No Hall of Famers this cycle, so there were some pretty big retirements. I think Ronald Acuna was in there. He really has not developed into the player we all think he would be. So I want to offer Josh Bell less money because I feel like it's $500,000 or just wasting money, and we don't have a ton of money to spend, but he's Josh Bell. I feel like I have to bring him back. And with Francisco Mejia, he's still really good, but he's now 36. He's asking for less money, so we're going to decline his team option and offer him another 2-year backloaded contract with a team option. So entering the offseason, we, again, don't have a ton of moves we have to make. We do have some more financial flexibility, but not for the long term, because the game signed Oneil Cruz to a 7-year extension. You've probably noticed throughout this long-term sim, I've had a consistent strategy of not giving super long contracts, especially backloaded contracts to 33-year-olds. Oneil Cruz is still getting better, but I don't think that's going to stay. I really don't like that contract, but I mean, he's the MVP of the league. I can't really do anything about it. And I guess on the bright side, he's not going to be making that much money for the first few years of the contract, but when he's 37, 38 years old and he's not going to be all that good anymore, he's going to be making a lot of money, which I don't like at all. So, thank you, MLB The Show. Looking at the offseason, again, I don't have any major plans in free agency. Luis Valdez is no longer in our division. He leaves for Reds to sign with the Tampa Bay Rays for a 9-year, $167 million contract, so we don't have to worry about him anymore, which is pretty good. And that weakens the Reds, who are one of our bigger teams of competition in the division. Other than that, not a whole lot to talk about here. Pavin Smith signs with the Rays, too. Tampa Bay is going to be loaded this upcoming season. Feels like the Padres have unlimited money. They keep spending a lot as we continue to move forward. The Red Sox making a few moves. They have not been all that relevant in this series for the most part. Mitch Keller signs with Miami Marlins at 35 years old. He's still pretty good, and he's actually been better since he left us. Jalen Davis signed with the Colorado Rockies. He's no longer in St. Louis, which is good news for us, and that will bring us to the start of the season. We are making a quick trade here. Manuel Medrano, now 30 years old. I think it makes sense for us to move on. We're getting an 8 potential catcher prospect. That guy's going to be the replacement for the catching prospect we traded for last year. We're really thinking that far ahead that we're getting replacements for a guy who has not played a major league game yet. The lineup, for the most part, is pretty much the same that it was last year. Again, we don't have a ton of money, so we're not really making a ton of big moves. The rotation as well, pretty much the same. And the bullpen, again, pretty much the same. We did call up Bernardo Montoya, who we traded for at the beginning of last season from the Minnesota Twins as part of the Felipe Benitez trade. We don't have a ton of big free agents. We do have 2 big guys, though, and Anthony McCarthy and Gaylord Dixie. Dixie will be 32 years old entering the offseason. McCarthy will be 34. So I'm not really sure how willing I am going to be to pay those guys, and we may look to trade them at the deadline because I don't like letting players walk in free agency for nothing. At draft day, we are 40-22, and again, Oneil Cruz is the front runner for MVP. It seems like Oneil Cruz is the best hitter in baseball every year for the past decade before the All-Star break, and even after the All-Star break, he's still good. Cairo's hitting .241. What has happened to him? It seems like he sucks in the first half of the year and plays better in the second half of the year. Benny Lang is hitting .206, and at this point, I don't think I can keep playing him as a platoon guy. He only starts against righties, but William Ishikawa is just a better player. And I think it makes the most sense to have Benny Lang as a bench bat for the pretty much probably the rest of his career. We drafted an A potential shortstop prospect in Jamison McManus in the second round, and overall, again, a pretty good draft. So now we're going to simulate to the All-Star game. Wander Franco, Oneil Cruz, and Cy Muser all lead their respective positions in All-Star voting. Patrick Magana makes another All-Star team. Rob Hills is rebounding big time this year. He is an All-Star once again. Actually, I think this might be his first All-Star game. Wander Franco makes it. Oneil Cruz makes it as well. And I don't believe we had any outfielders, no. So, more All-Stars this year than last year. Now we are going to simulate to the trade deadline where we will be pretty active. And we have a record of 70-40. We're 30 games out of 500. I think it's pretty clear that we're going to win the division. But we do have some tough decisions to make with Anthony McCarthy and Gaylord Dixie. So McCarthy will be traded to the Reds along with a few other guys for Tom Yang, a 23-year-old outfield prospect. I think he is 97 potential. I don't love sending McCarthy to a division rival, but he is an expiring contract, and we're stealing a really good prospect away from the Cincinnati Reds. With McCarthy gone, that opens up a hole at first base. We have 22-year-old Vinny Sanchez in AAA, who's an 81 in true talent. And I think he's ready to be the first baseman of the future. For right now, he will only start against lefties because I want to give Josh Bell one more shot. In only 18 at-bats this year, he's actually been quite good. He has 3 home runs, hitting .278, and OPS above 1,200. I know that's a super small sample size, and if it doesn't work out, we can always put Vinny Sanchez there. If Benny Lynn starts to play better, he can start there as well. And then Gaylord Dixie, and he was one of our draft picks in Season 2. He's had an outstanding season for us this year. He has a career ERA of 2.9, and he has an awesome name. So it hurts to trade him, but I don't think we're in a position to pay him in the offseason. So we're going to be trading him to the Cincinnati Reds. We're literally stealing every good prospect away from the Reds. We're also going to be sending them Tom Hu, a good catching prospect, and a good starting pitching prospect in Adrian Arellano. So we're giving up a lot, but we're getting a lot. 24-year-old third baseman Albert Cairo. He has 98 potential. I think he's related to Pablo. They are both from Venezuela. So we've stolen 3 97-plus prospects away from the Cincinnati Reds in the past, 3 seasons. Incredible work there. The Reds might be better this year with adding McCarthy and Dixie in, but we stole 3 blue-chip prospects away from them in a very short amount of time. So now we will simulate to the end of the season, and we will finish 105-57, which again is good enough for the number 1 seed in the NL. The Reds did not make the playoffs. Pablo Cairo did not pick it up this year. He was disappointing, only hitting .251, but Wander Franco was great. O'Neal Cruz again was great. Cy Muser had probably his best season with us, which is very good to see. Josh Bell was benched pretty early on into him starting. He wasn't very good. So Vinny Sanchez quickly became the everyday first baseman. The pitching as well was great. Again, Santiago Osuna was great. Magana was very good. And then Ritchie, Waldron, and Cortez all had sub-4 ERAs. The bullpen as well was very solid, even with losing Gaylord Dixie. And O'Neal Cruz, again, won the MVP. His 3rd MVP here in the long-term sim. 2nd straight season in which he won the MVP. I think he's hit close to 150 home runs in the past 3 seasons, which is wild. The AL has also had back-to-back MVPs in Luis Robert, who is now with the Angels. So we have the Colorado Rockies here in the first round. After winning 105 games, can we win back-to-back World Series? And we're not starting off too hot. We're already down 2-0. We win Game 3 and we lose Game 4. So after winning 105 games, we only win 1 playoff game. The Twins end up beating the Padres in 7 to clinch the World Series. So a pretty disappointing end to the season. And that will bring us to the final offseason of the day and bring us to Season 14. Josh Bell does not retire. I don't know how much longer this guy's going to stick around, but he's now 40 years old. I feel like he's robbing us. I mean, we're literally giving him $500,000 to pretty much do nothing other than waste a Major League roster spot. I don't know how long I can keep employing him on the Major League team because it's getting a little bit ridiculous. But Josh Bell has to retire as a Pirate, so we kind of have to do it. Francisco Mejia has really fallen hard. He's now a 74 overall, and I think I'm ready to start that prospect we got from the Cincinnati Reds, but I do want to hold on to Mejia. We're going to give him a 1-year contract worth $3 million. Benny Lane has also fallen hard. He is now pretty much a bench bat for us, but I kind of want to bring him back. He's only a 70 overall. He's not going to play anywhere else, so I would not mind having him back for cheap as a solid bench bat. I mean, as a 30-year-old veteran who's a 73 overall, I still think he can provide good value for us. We actually do have quite a bit of flexibility going into the offseason with only $148 million tied up, but we have a lot of key players becoming free agents next year, and we don't have a ton of holes on the roster, so I don't want to make a super big move. There's Travis Swaggerty super high up. Swaggerty's been a beast ever since we traded him away, I believe, with the Tigers and the Astros. So, good for him. He's really developed ever since he left. Benny Lynn did not actually accept our contract in the Resign phase, but no one's offering him here. I'd like to bring him back 1 year's $3.5 million. I don't think this is too bad of a contract for us. Looking at the rest of the league, Derrick Madden, former Oriole pitcher, stays in division. He signs with the Rays. They have been spending a lot of money these past few seasons as they try to stay competitive. Lazaro Armenteros, a former member of our organization, will be rejoining the NL Central. He is now a Brewer. Adley Rutschman signs with the New York Mets, who also get A.J. Puck. They also signed Jackson Rutledge as well. So the Mets and Ryan Mountcastle. Jesus Christ. Is Steve Cohen, made of money? They just keep signing guys here in this offseason. Travis Swaggerty is a White Sox. And then we have a very interesting trade here with the Reds and the Twins. Koizumi Satoshi, a former member of our organization, going to the Reds for Quinn Priester, another former member of our organization. Priester looks like he's regressed pretty badly, but Satoshi is still a good player. And then Gaylord Dixie is traded from the Reds to the Twins. So 2 players we gave the Reds, Priester and Dixie, and have been traded to the Twins. And Cincinnati now has Koizumi Satoshi, who still is a very good player. We're going to be trading Jack Egan, a catcher to the Marlins, for a few prospects. With that prospect from the Reds, we don't really need Egan, and I still want Francisco Mejia as the backup. Entering this upcoming offseason, we have a lot of big decisions to make. Wander Franco, Cy Muser, Rob Hills, Patrick Magana, and Antoine Herrera are all free agents. We're not going to be able to bring all these guys back. But first things first, I do want to re-sign Wander Franco. He is 31 years old, but he's still a very good player, and I'd like to keep him. For the other 4 guys, it's a little bit more challenging. I'll talk about them in just a second. Looking at the lineup, for the most part, it's pretty much the same. Obviously, Vinny Sanchez is now the everyday first baseman, and at third, Benny Lania is no longer a platoon guy. Ron Palacios will be starting against righties, and William Ishikawa will still be starting against lefties like he's been these past few seasons. Alberto Estrada is now the new starting catcher. He's the guy from the Reds. Shelby Gonzalez, an 85 overall rookie, will be entering the starting rotation. Robbie Cortez is now the line reliever. But as I alluded to, we have a lot of tough decisions entering the offseason. I think we're going to bring back one of Cy Muser and Patrick Magana. They're both elite players at premier positions, so they're going to ask for a lot of money. I think we're going to have enough to bring one of them back. For the 2 relievers, Herrera and Hills, I don't think we have the resources to bring back both, but I'd like to have one of them as our elite closer. So 2 of those guys will return. We're going to make those tough decisions at the trade deadline. Entering the draft stage, we are 40-21. Second in the division, the Reds are better than us. Maybe we should not have made all of those trades with the Reds, although pretty much every good player we gave them is gone. We started the year off slow, but we had a 17-game win streak in the month of May. And as we look at the Cy Muser and Patrick Magana debate, it's becoming pretty clear for me. Cy Muser is having an awesome year. Patrick Magana is not. And I think we need Muser more than Magana because we're paying Santiago Osuna like an ace, and we have multiple A potential pitching prospects in the organization. For the relievers, again, it seems easy. Rob Hills is having a great season. Antoine Herrera is not. So, Hills and Cy Muser are looking very good to stay right now. We had a pretty underwhelming draft. We did get a good catching prospect in Alexei Varial. So now we will be simulating 2 All-Star Week. Hopefully we can keep playing good baseball, and we are 63-33. The Reds are right on our tail in this division, though. Santiago Osuna, the starting pitcher for the National League in the All-Star game. Rob Hills makes his second straight All-Star appearance. That's good to see. Don't have a lot of our hitters, though, right as I say that. Cy Muser and Oneil Cruz. Cruz is having a down year for his standards. He's only hitting like .320 with 19 home runs. Pablo Cairo is also back, and Miguel Quevedo also makes the All-Star team. So I think we finished with like 6 guys. Simulating to the trade deadline now. This is really where we're going to have to start making these tough decisions. We're 75-36. We could just keep everybody and just try to win the World Series that way. But I also want to look at it for the long term. Cy Muser is still doing very well, and although Patrick Magana has been pitching a little bit better, again, we're paying Santiago Osuna like an ace. Magana, who is an ace talent, I don't know if I want to pay him like an ace because he's not for us. Antoine Herrera has only pitched 6 innings. We're not using him, and when he's in, he's not doing well. Rob Hills is doing well. So Magana and Herrera will be traded. Antoine Herrera is going to the Rockies, along with a few very good prospects. For second base prospect Sean Navarro, who's 21 years old, 78 overall. I think he has like 95 potential or something like that. So we're getting a very good prospect from them. And I had a lot of trouble finding a Patrick Magana deal because he's very expensive. But I did find something I liked with the Washington Nationals. First off, we just have to appreciate what Patrick Magana has done for us. He started in Game 7 of a World Series in Season 5. He's helped us win 2 more World Series. We're going to be trading him and Ron Palacios, who is really good. So we're giving up two outstanding players, but we're getting two very good guys. First one is Mohamed Lunsford, a starting pitcher. He's an 89 overall. He's only 24 years old. Adam Deaton, probably the long-lost cousin of Adam Eaton. Deaton has like 97 potential, I think. He's really good. And then Bobby Witt Jr. is just in there for matching the salaries because pretty much every team is like rubbing right along the budget. And we're going to be sending Witt back to the Nationals because he has multiple years left on his deal. I want to get some expiring contracts. In that trade we just got from the Nationals, we're getting a few good players, including Adonis Medina. Medina is back, baby. He was obviously a big part in our 2024 World Series team. His final year with us, he won the Cy Young, and he's been pretty good in 4.5 years with Washington, but his contract is almost up, and I think he can be a valuable asset for us in the bullpen. So now that we're committing to Cy Muser and Rob Hills, I want to pay these two guys now. Muser will be getting a 3-year contract worth $93 million. Hills, meanwhile, who has like nearly 100 saves in the past 2 seasons, he will be getting around $10 million a year. I think that's a lot for a reliever, but Rob Hills is really good. We could not afford to let him go, considering we've let go of both Gaylord Dixie and Antoine Herrera in the past year. The lineup looks a little bit different. Adam Deaton will be the everyday third baseman, which means Ishikawa is now a permanent bench bat. I'm probably going to look to trade William Ishikawa in the offseason. He's just never had a consistent role for us, and he has a lot of trade value, I imagine, so we will look to move him then. We are going to be simulating to the end of the season, and throughout the months of August and September, guess how many games we lost? The answer is 12. We lost 12 games in the span of 2 months after arguably making our team worse at the deadline. We finished with a record of 114-48, and I accidentally simulated the first round against the Reds, which we swept them. So we're already in the NLCS. That was quick. Since we're in the postseason, I'm going to have to show the regular season stats at the end of the video. So we're going to be playing against the Phillies in the NLCS. We split games 1 and 2. We lose game 3, so we're kind of having a little bit of trouble, but we do beat them in 6, and we will be playing the Detroit Tigers in the World Series. The Tigers have a very interesting roster, led by Royce Lewis, who they traded for all the way back in Season 1. He's been a stalwart at the shortstop position. They have a very deep roster. There's Sean Bush, one of our draft picks all the way back from Season 1. He has carved out a solid Major League career for himself. So here we go. Can we win 2 World Series today, which puts us at 4 for the total series? We split games 1 and 2. We win game 3 and 4, so we just have to win 1 more. We're having a little bit of trouble. We lose games 5 and 6, so that brings us to a game 7, and we are going to simcast this game. Game 7 of a World Series. Santiago Osuna is on the mound, facing off against Josh Chavez for the Tigers. Currently tied at 0 entering the 4th, but a 3-run bomb from Vinny Sanchez will put us ahead. Pablo Cairo goes deep, and it's now 4-0 with a couple innings to go. We're going to take out Santiago Osuna here early in the 8th inning. He pitched 7 shutout frames, but can the bullpen hold on to get the win? We will put Manny Feliciano in the game. The bases are loaded, and we turn 2. It's now entering the 9th inning. Rob Hills, the recently extended closer, will enter the game. We quickly get the double play. We force a fly out, and the Pirates have won the World Series thanks to a 7-inning shutout performance in Game 7 from our ace, Santiago Osuna. Wander Franco wins postseason and World Series MVP. So Franco won both World Series MVPs today. Very impressive work from him. In the 3 World Series we've made him a long-term sim, we've won all 3 of them. So now entering the offseason, will Josh Bell finally retire? Thank God. Josh Bell has finally retired. What a career at the age of 41 years old now. He really didn't regress the final 2 seasons of his career, which I found surprising. He hit 111 this year, but only in 18 at-bats. Josh Bell has not been an everyday player probably for the past 5 years, but he wanted to stick around. He wanted to win another World Series, and he won 2 more at the tail end of his career. Bell has been the face of this organization the entire series, and it does sting a little bit. It's bittersweet that he's retiring. He finished with over 2,000 hits and 469 nice home runs. Bell does not make the Hall of Fame. Bryce Harper and Rafael Devers do enter in this Hall of Fame class. And now I will show off the season stats. O'Neal Cruz starting to regress. He's now only a 98. I know. steep regression from him. Cy Muser finished hitting .330. I think we made the right call when it comes to keeping him. Wander Franco and Pablo Cairo were both very good this year once again. And Santiago Osuna, the past few seasons, he's been dominant. Osuna won his second Cy Young of his career this year, finished with an ERA of 2.36, whip at 0.99. And although some of our older players are starting to get a little bit worse, Santiago Osuna is still getting better. I mean, he has just been absurdly good for such a long amount of time. The rest of the pitching was great. I believe Jonathan Ritchie finished third in Cy Young, who's now a 91 overall. So this is a very good team. We have managed to assemble 4 World Series titles and 12 straight division titles. I think it's fair to say we've built a dynasty, but we still have a few more episodes to go. We still have a lot of key players still here, although guys like Cairo and Franco and Osuna are now over the age of 30. We've seen how the first half of their careers have played out. Let's see if we can continue to get them some more World Series championships as the rest of their career pans out, and see how many guys of this core can potentially make the Hall of Fame. Hope everybody enjoyed. Next time, we will cover seasons 15 through 17. Today, obviously, we went through seasons 12 through 14. Hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to like and subscribe. I'm out. Peace.